The whole purpose of the COVID inquiry from start to finish is to try to help New Zealand to be better placed for the next time we have a pandemic, and there will be one. So when you're looking back at a situation that has happened, there are two ways that you can look at it. One way of looking at it is to try to see through the eyes of the decision maker with the information that that person had at the time. The other way to look at it is to say, well, we want to know what the best decision would have been in that situation. And if we're looking at it in that way, we can use 20/20 hindsight, because that's going to tell us the whole story about what was good and what was bad about the decision-making process, whether or not the decision makers knew all the information that was out there at the time. I see my role as trying to get to the bottom of some of the questions that the public are wanting to have answered about this very difficult time in our history.
So the main difference between Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the inquiry is that Phase 1 of the inquiry was quite broad, and clearly it's not possible to go deep into everything. But Phase 2 of the inquiry, we've been asked to look at the use of lockdowns to restrict people's movements, especially in Auckland and Northland. And we'll be looking at the rollout of vaccines through 2021-22 and vaccine mandates. And we'll also be looking at the role of the private sector in the COVID response.
I think the combination of commissioners is a really good one. It's been a real delight to meet Grant and Judy, and I'm really honoured to be a part of a team with them. I think our skills are complementary in all sorts of very helpful in quite different ways, and I think the expertise and experience that we had between us is really quite helpful as we grapple with what are highly complex questions as we think about learnings for Aotearoa New Zealand going forward.
The biggest challenge that we face at the moment is the fact that our community has become polarised and may not respond in the same way that we did as a nation in 2020. So we need to come together as a community and be ready to unite and fight again in the way that we did at the beginning of the last pandemic. If we don't have that united approach, we're in trouble.
It was very much Team Aotearoa New Zealand, wasn't it? And it was everybody working together, and I look back on the way New Zealand handled that time and the way the population gathered and supported and worked together. And I think we can look back on that with real pride as a country. There are things to learn, and it's important that we do learn so that we do better next time.
I think it's very raw and very real for lots of people, but that's because they've been kind of long-lasting impacts. So we're only beginning to understand now a little bit about the longer-term social and economic impacts, and I think that as we learn more about that, it makes me all the more determined to think about how we can respond to pandemics in the future.
The purpose of Phase 2 all comes back to the purpose in the terms of reference for the work we're doing, which is to help us strengthen and prepare for the next pandemic, to learn the lessons from the last time around. It's about the people, and this inquiry, it seems to me, is very much about the people. It's about thinking about how we protect lives and livelihoods. It's about how we do well and how we do better next time.
For us, success will look like a set of recommendations that can be understood at government level, that can also be understood at community level, and which will result in a very well organised, resilient, robust defence to the next pandemic when it comes.